can't help it.
Every single time. Every single time.
It's like, look, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I be knew when you were trouble when you walk in. I hear that. I can't help a good beat, Paula. And you put a good beat to that intro.
Look. I be trying. I like our outro. Our outro be fire. Every time I'm listening to it over and over again.
I be humming it too. But that I'm on that Dee.
Whatever. Yeah. Welcome everyone to the 20th episode of Keeping You Wise by Keeping It Real, where we bring authentic. It is 20. Where we bring that authentic and real conversations to fuel the soul that you can share with others. And my name is Paula Bell, for those who don't know me, and I'm here with my co-host Solo, who seems to be having a great day today. You're energized, looking good. All right.
Thank you.
I love it. There you go. That's what I'm saying. Debonair. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. But before we jump into this topic, which we are excited to have this topic tonight, before we jump into this topic, I have to always give my disclaimers, right? We are not therapists and we do not offer any medical advice. We are not trained, we are not qualified, and we are not able to diagnose or treat any form of mental illness or disorder. And some topics may be triggering because we have real authentic conversations. So you need to give yourself some space. Feel free to do that. It's all good. No offense taken here. The purpose of this video cast is, again, to have that real authentic conversation. But we also want you to interact with us. So please interact with us via chat, no matter what platform you're on. We want to hear from you because some of those questions might actually be answered live. So please make sure to do that. We'll also tell you how you can subscribe to our channel and find us if you want to listen to this recording again at a later time or past recordings. But with that, Solo, who do we have joining us today?
We got a panel today, so I'm excited.
We
got not one, not two, not three, but we have 4 special guests. We have Karen Allen, we have Courtney Perry, we have my man, Derek Frank. Take a look at his background. You'll be impressed. And Dr. Michael White. So we may have somebody that could diagnose, treat something, because we got a doctor in the house. So welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us today. And if you would be so kind as to maybe go around the room and introduce yourself, say a little bit about yourself. We'll start with Dr. Michael White.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Michael White. I am a Detroit boy here, born and raised, and I'm 4 years old. I've been an entrepreneur about 8 years now. I do business analysis, coaching, and training. But throughout those years, I have led several unisex teams. So I've worked with a lot of people of all walks of life. So just a lot of interesting interactions with these individuals. So hopefully it leads to some good talking points today.
That's awesome. I am also a doctor. I have a PhD. I went to school and got my PhD, my party hard degree. It gave me a lot of student debt and not too many doctors before my name. So I appreciate you studying harder than I, Dr. White.
Well, hey, somebody's got to do it.
What do you even say to that, right? What do you even say to that? Karen, how about you go next?
Thanks for the invitation. Appreciate joining. Feel very privileged among this group. Thank you. I'm just going to get it out of the way. I am a Gen X, white, Midwest, suburban mom and wife called Karen. I'm named Karen. I know. So, but I am happy to loan out my name to call out some behaviors now and then. I have been, again, fortunate enough to live and or travel coast to coast, north to south in this country. And I just love interacting with new people, learning new things all the time. I've worked nonprofit, been a business owner, worked for profit, again, coast to coast. So those regions really, really show differences with this topic, especially interacting with men and women in different regions of the country looks different. So I'm excited to be here. Oh, well, we relocated back to the Chicago area. So I grew up partially rural Iowa and the Chicago suburbs.
Okay.
I'm home.
Chi-town.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Courtney, you want to go next?
Courtney Perry here in Des Moines, Iowa, CEO of Lady Luck Senate Candles and Privacy LLC, community activist, and all about bringing our youth so that we can have some young folks actually take care of us when we get older. This conversation is going to be quite interesting. So just looking forward to what we come out with.
Love it. Derek, want to take us home?
Yeah, so my name's Derek Frank. I am a now Des Moines transplant after spending the last 11 years in Nashville, Tennessee, where I was artist relations manager, where basically I worked with marketing with artists for a company, and I worked with all kinds of huge names. It was great, but needed to slow it down a little bit, and that cost of living in Nashville was getting a little outrageous, so moved to beautiful Des Moines, where I helped Oak Ridge neighborhood open the Teen Tech Center, the Oak Studio Teen Tech Center, where I run that with my good friend Emmett Phillips. And it's a free space for anyone 13 to 21 to come in and explore art, technology, music, entrepreneurship, you name it, we're there for them.
That's awesome. Country music artists back in Tennessee?
Everything. So I worked with everybody from like Jill Scott to John Legend to Bob Dylan.
Dang. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it was a good life.
That's a really good life. I appreciate it. Well, hey, thank you all for joining us. Let's jump right in.
So we're gonna start. Yeah, we do. I do. You know, I always got to bring up something to surprise y'all, right? So I'm gonna pop this up on the stage right quick.
What do we got?
Here's some communication between the sexes statistics, and just to highlight a couple of things. Hopefully, you can see it well from a gender and communication perspective. Studies show that only about 7% of communication comes from the actual words we speak. Now, that shouldn't be surprising. I think we all know that, right? A lot of it comes from the nonverbals. My nonverbals tell on myself all the time. So I get myself in trouble just by my facial expressions, right? The amount of words we speak, it is contrary to popular belief, but empirical research has found that men and women speak about the same number of words per day.
Lies.
So just putting that out there. From a communication style perspective, women are more likely to use rapport talk, while men are more often using that report talk. So they're about information and problem solving, while we're about, can we have a conversation and build connection and relationships? Now, okay, I'm going to say this too, as I call it statistics, because I don't want y'all coming for me after this recording or during it live. I understand that there are many different definitions outside of the traditional men and women. I also understand that there are some of these statistics may not apply to certain individuals. That is fine. I'm just giving you statistics based on the conversation we're having today. So don't come for me, right? I only got an hour. I can only talk about so much in an hour. If there is a topic that you want to go deeper in, or you want us to have a panel on, just let us know. We open. We will have all the conversations in the world. But I just need to set that stage. Interruptions. Men interrupt women about 33% more often than they interrupt other men. I'm going to leave that right there. I ain't saying nothing about it. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm opening it up to the floor. What y'all think about these stats?
Well, if everybody's gonna be quiet, I'll go first. I mean, it's super accurate, and I mean, obviously, they're well-adjusted stats, because we know, especially as a man, like that fixing things is so huge and been a problem, like with me in communicating, of like, oh, I hear a problem, like, great, how can I make this better? How can I take care of it right now? Versus, you know, listening to women, it's like, you know, I really want you to just listen to me, soak it in. I'm like, I'm soaking it in, but I'm trying to fix it.
I'm already soaked.
Yeah. So I see that. And that's something that I've definitely worked on in my life a lot more, and doing that active listening.
They got this book. I think that you'd like it, Derek. It was mind-blowing to me. It's called I Hear You, The Power of Validation. Y'all ever read that before?
Mm-mm.
It's so wide. It's a small read, real super short read, really easy audiobook too. And it talks about like the power of validation. I think that a lot of the times we have these stereotypes, right? Like women need to be validated, men need to be solving things. But really, I noticed myself needed more validation than even my wife. And she is just so much better at it than I. So it makes it seem like maybe she needs it more because I just suck at it, right? So essentially it talks about like most folks, when you communicate, especially us men, we want to fix things or we want to consult, right? Men are usually the fixers. Females are usually the consoler. But really, true good communicators are good at validating like emotion. So you take an example. I have one in the book. It's like you're at a lunch with a friend, and she tells you, "Man, I'm really worried. My daughter was supposed to be off basketball practice an hour ago, and she calls me. She gets home. She hasn't called me yet." So we instantly either go into fix mode or console mode. Fix mode, like, oh, well, have you called the coach? Did you call her friend? Like, is there somewhere we can show up to the school? Like, let's go. Let's get it done. Or the console mode, oh, it's okay. You know how teenagers are. She's probably is hanging out with her friend. And we do it with good intentions, but it doesn't help. But the best of us validate. Like, wow, it's been an hour? That must be scary. You okay? And then they do what we would normally do. They either go into fix or console. Oh, you know how teenagers are. They're just crazy. I'm sure she'll call me. Thanks, I'm good. And they say something that I've noticed when I started using this with my wife. It's like a freaking magic pill. You're just such a good listener. I appreciate you. And it's like, I think that communication all too often, we think that the power is in the communicating. I love hearing myself talk. Like, you already know, right? I already know I'm speaking more than 16,000 words on average. Like, as is how I am. But the power is in the listening part. It's in the shutting up part. It's in the hearing what you're saying, really distilling what you're feeling, and then calling out that feeling and making you feel like you're not crazy for feeling it. And I feel like the best of us are able to do that, and I'm still working on it. So I don't know if that's a man thing. I don't know if that's a woman thing. It's definitely not a strong suit for solo thing, but I know it's powerful.
I love that first point as it relates to all of that, though. The nonverbal communication with your best friends, your closest people, you can have all of that happen and 5 words are said, maybe. Just a nod, a look, gesture, and that's powerful too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I thought was surprising is that men interrupt women a lot. I found myself just interrupting people in general a lot. But in my mind, like, I feel like as a man interrupting a woman, I feel like sexist for doing that. I feel terrible. It's like, oh, I need to get myself on point. Ladies, have you found that men be interrupting y'all a lot? Like, is that a real statistic? Because it's something that I've noticed that I do to everybody, but it really stands out to me when I do it to a woman personally. I feel a certain way about it.
I think men definitely will interrupt a woman, but let's do the role reversal on a woman interrupting a man. Because I think that a lot of women who are in powerful roles and who are leading right now, like, I mean, I'm one, but I will cut you off, like, stop. And it's not intentional. I just don't want you to have to go too further into the conversation because what you're trying to imply, we're not going to do. Yeah. So I would be really interested to see what the statistic is on a woman actually interrupting the man. But for men, it is definitely something that I have seen quite frequently. And again, as a headstrong woman, as who I am, it's like, I'm going to cut you back off. So I kind of tit for tat.
What do you all think the biggest misunderstanding between men and women have about each other?
Control.
What do you mean?
Somebody always wants to be the controller. Depends on the conversation. Somebody wants to lead.
This is true.
I think now more than any time, gender roles have changed, or traditional gender roles have changed so much. And that expectation of she's staying home and doing the cooking and doing the cleaning. And I think it's great that has happened because, like, me personally, I love to cook. And then so, like, as those things happen, I think it makes the home more even if people can let go of those traditional roles. But it's a generational thing. Like, if you have parents that this is the way it is, you got to break those molds quite a bit. But I love seeing that is something that is changing quickly.
True. Any of you all in a traditional gender role type of relationship or family?
Not fully. Some of the traditions stay with us. We have one child, and I think headstrong, Courtney, I hear you. I feel that. One child, a girl, and I think even more so raising her, I thought I may have chosen some, not all, traditional things around the house, not all by any means. But I want to make sure she knows all of her options are open. You can do anything you want. Was much more intentional about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I have probably a close to traditional gender role type of dynamic in my family, but I don't even think that even exists really anymore. In that I work and she stays home with my 2 boys, but I cook, even though I don't cook that good. So she ends up cooking more, right? But I have found that, like, you watch these shows, right? Like that 70s show and all these old school sitcoms and stuff like that. And like the dad's just at the table, like reading the paper, you know, mom's doing all the things. I'm like, man, like my wife would snatch me up by the head and go crazy on me if I was just doing a whole lot of nothing around the house and just making an excuse of, well, I make the money. So I'm glad that we've evolved out of that too, right, Derek?
Well,
Now,
I think
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, go ahead. See, there we go. Interrupting me. I'm interrupting y'all.
Yeah, what's up,
you
Courtney?
interrupted me.
I know. That's
You
what I'm saying. I'm
interrupted
interrupting. I know. I was trying to like find my mute button. I was like unmuting, and then here. See, look at this. I'll blame the mute button. But sorry, Courtney. But I got one of your
No,
candles in
you're
the back
quite all right.
anyway,
I
so
think
we're good.
we unmuted about the same time. But I was just gonna say, in regards to gender roles, I mean, you have to think like now the way in which generations are raised are not the same. So they don't see that 70s show type of family tradition anymore. I mean, I was raised by, of course, I seen it, but I was raised by 2 grandmothers, you know, headstrong women who could do it all. Of course, that's the path that I showed versus somebody else who raised one to 2-parent household or an all-mother household or now an all-male household. So I think when kids start to see that, they get to the ability to see like there's options out here and I don't have to just be traditional. So
Good call out.
Well, let's go a little bit deeper on that, though. As you talk about traditional, how do you feel cultural expectations influence how we express emotions across gender lines?
It's a good question.
I'm gonna let somebody else go first.
I will say that so I'm right there with you, Courtney. My family, this was the matriarch of my family. Miss Bertha Solomon. She was the boss. Hey, can we go to the park? Ask Grammy. What are we eating for dinner? Ask Grammy. Can we do this? Ask Grammy. Grammy was the one that was ruling the roost round here. That said, I don't know if that's a traditional thing or not, but that's how my tradition was. But I think that one thing that has been lost that I wish wasn't lost, if we could be real, I'll throw some controversial stuff out. Maybe people are going to hate me for this. Y'all ready for the first one? It breaks my heart that being a mom now is like, to some folks, like a badge of dishonor. Like that you think that you have to climb the corporate ladder or make money or whatever. Like my wife, my grandmother, my mother, who stayed home and raised me, like was like the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And I know a lot of folks, even y'all here on this call, are probably juggling a job and making money and things of that nature. But it's like, I don't know how you do it, because like I see like the weight of being a mother is, and it's like, damn, that's heavy. And it's like, you don't get any money for that. You get no recognition for it. When people say, well, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And it's like, oh, well, you know, there's like this like unsaid, oh, well, that's not enoughness, I feel, in today's culture. And I just don't know where that came from. Like,
well, you also have the same issue with stay-at-home dads, though.
That's true.
I mean,
that's true.
If you talk about the male side of it, there are men who do stay home and take care of the kids. And so there is that aspect of it too. But Doc White, what do you think about cultural expectations and how they influence how we express emotions across gender lines?
Well, you know, I think a lot of it is about progress, right? Like, to be honest with you, I really like a traditional environment. And I'm not trying to say this in a sexist way, but I really like it when I see a household where there is, you know, a father who's playing, you know, the father role where he's the provider and the woman is nurturing and baking. I love the thought of that. And I think it's because nowadays it's so rare. And I think it's kind of like the natural way it's supposed to be. And I think the imbalances that we're seeing is a result of circumstances, right? For example, if you look at a lot of like just a single family home, right, where a woman who typically would need to be nurturing, now she also has to play the father role, right? So she might develop more quote unquote of masculine energy, where she's got to be assertive and demanding and the disciplinarian, right? And so that might transfer into relationships where it can lead to things that things that men might be intimidated by, right? So I think just understanding, why we're there we are, because everybody has a balance of masculine and feminine energy, like, right. And without even knowing it, right? Like, I think some of the statistics you gave, Paula, earlier about women using more words and being more, needing validation and things like that, whereas, men are typically logical and we provide, right? Problem solvers. I think that was one of the things mentioned earlier. And those are natural things, but typically we deviate from culture, because of our circumstances or from culture. So I think just understanding that each sex or gender or whatever you classify as, we both have those energies, and understanding, just because you're a man, it doesn't mean you have more masculine energy. You could actually be a man and have more feminine energy, and you might resonate with a woman who, or whatever, a person who might have more masculine energy, right? So it's not always about gender. Sometimes it's about the energy as well. So, and I think because of culture, the energy has taken more of a forefront than the actual gender itself, right? I hope you guys are keeping up with what I'm saying. I feel like
that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so I guess the bottom line is that I think culture has morphed, right, what the masculine and the feminine identity is, to where now it's just we all have these energies that we need to identify with versus playing a male role and a female role.
I do think there's a certain amount of fear that like social media has created too, in being able to say something like that, right, Dr. White? Like, I prefer a traditional, father being the traditional father role, mother being the traditional mother role. Because you'll have someone out there that'll hear that and will want to attack you and destroy your life just because it's not what they believe in. And I think that puts people into these silos where like insidious, nasty things grow, and then we start hurting each other as opposed to understanding where you're coming from. Because what you said, I think, is beautiful. And even though what you said may be something different than what someone else believes, that's what makes us great, is our diversity. Like, we can't say we want diversity and not really want diversity of thought, right? Like, we have to accept what's normal, what's different, and everything in between if we really truly want to embrace diversity.
Okay, so I'm gonna go off script here. I want to go deeper.
Go deep.
I do. I just want to get to the crux of it. So when we were talking about communication, right? Yep. Men and women communicate. Doc White and I were talking, and it was a situation I was going through, and I was explaining how I communicated. And we were just talking back and forth. And so one of the things that came up is with Doc White, he was like, well, I said what I said, right? I said what I said, but you want to interpret what I said to what you want it to be. But that's not what I said. I said what I said, right? And then because you didn't like what I said, or you may not have agreed with what I said, now we have this thing where you're now trying to, it's sort of like this whole manipulation, honestly, on the communication side, right? So you have women who are very outspoken, and you have women who are not. You have men who are very outspoken, and you have men who are not. And we're in these relationships and we're trying to communicate. So I need to understand from the men and then also from the females, okay, What do you think women wish men understood about their communication style? And men, what do you wish women understood about your communication style? And I'm staying out this conversation until y'all talk.
Ooh.
That's right, I am. Don't give me that
I'll
look,
jump
Courtney.
in. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. What you said there, trust my words. I may have emotions under them, but what I'm sharing outward is what I want to share outward. If I'm processing something in the background, don't worry, I will tell you.
Mm.
But it might take me a minute to get the words that I want to use. But that's what I wish. You trust the words that are coming out, not, well, did you actually mean this? I didn't. I said what I meant.
Right. That's good. For me personally, I'm thinking about my relationship with my wife. We have a yin and yang communication style when it comes to heated debates, like arguments, right? She wants to talk it through. I'm like, get out of my face. I don't want to say a word to you. I want to walk away. I want to process myself. I want to go into my little hole, man cave, whatever. And I want to just go to sleep mad. There's this whole never go to bed when you're angry. Nah. Don't tell me that. I need to go to bed, forget about the emotional compromised position that I was in the night prior, so then we could go back and discuss it without spit and vinegar coming out. Because I notice sometimes when to your point, Paul, let's say I'm talking to a Doc White, and it's like, I know what you said, but now I'm feeling a certain way. So I'm trying to set you up because I'm angry. So I'm jabbing back. And I notice myself, damn, I'm angry. I'm emotionally compromised right now. I can't even have a conversation because the conversation is coming from a place where I'm trying to punch back or defend, and it might not even be that. So I need to woo-saw. I need to step away, and I need to get back to emotional baseline before I can even continue the conversation. But my wife needs to talk it out. She wants to work through it. And I'm like, look, I'm about 13, 14 words away from saying something that I'm going to regret tomorrow, and I ain't ever going to live down. So I need to just step away, and I need you to know that this is not a bad thing. It's not abandonment. It's not I'm angry. It's not that whatever it may be. It's I need this space so I can come back and talk it out. And I need to understand that if I'm in I can handle it, she needs to talk it out to feel better. So it's sometimes I got to just swallow it. So it's a compromise. Sometimes she has to let me walk away. Sometimes I have to talk through it, even though it's uncomfortable. And it's that balance back and forth. It's not always talking it through because I'm going to say something crazy. It's not always walking away because she's going to feel neglected. It's the balance. That's what I wish I was better at and that I could convey better to her personally.
Okay. How about you, Courtney? Oh, go ahead, Doc White. Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say that actually what you mentioned earlier about you wanting to go away and think about it, and she wants to talk about it. That's actually a perfect case study for another statistic that men are typically better at regulating their emotions than women, right? So a typical man can go away and kind of decompress himself, but a woman would want to talk it out so that she can feel better about it statistically now. So that was just an example of that. And I think the thing that would be good is for each of us to know, these things about each other. So it's when he's walking away, it's not he's walking away because he doesn't care. It's he's walking away. He's regulating to where he's at a better headspace to where he can actually talk to me like a human so that we're not yelling and screaming, right? But, on the flip side of the man, we're like, I just want to go away. She just wants to yap. But she's actually trying to pull us in to help her
cares.
Get to that place of being in a good spot, right? So we both want to get to the same point of understanding, but we just have very different ways of doing that. So just understanding
Mars, from Venus.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? So just understanding that about, the opposite sex, or like I said, that again, it doesn't always have to be about the sex. It could also just be about the energy as well. So if you notice that you're in a relationship with a person that always wants to walk away for a while, why are they doing that, right?
And to your point, if we want to get even deeper, if we're having the uncomfortable conversations, it's not all verbal communication. My wife will like, oh, can you just massage my neck and cuddle with me? And I'm like, I sure can. Let me get a little closer. She's like, no, I just want you to rub my neck and cuddle with me. We ain't doing nothing else. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Well, what's going on here? So we got to understand that it goes across all kinds of lines. It's not just verbal, right? We got to check ourselves, gentlemen, because I remember, I don't even want to go there. I ain't going to tell you all that.
I feel like you have to after that statement.
No, I feel like it's too much for the pod. That's too much for the pod. All I'm saying is that we misinterpret each other's signals all the time. I'll say it. I'll be vulnerable. Yeah. I was laying there in bed. We were watching TV with my wife, and she was upset about something. I didn't know she was upset about it. And in my mind, like she was scooting all closer to me, and like she was like started getting all like cuddly, and I'm like, oh, okay. She's feeling your boy right now. All right, it's gonna be a good night. She starts crying. And I'm like, what the hell? Read that wrong. Like definitely read that situation wrong. In my mind, she was having a good time. She was ready. But no, she just needed love. She needed affection. She needed to be close. And it's like, you got to realize that the radar that you use is not the radar that she uses, and the radar that she uses is not the radar that you use. And you have to be willing to look at someone else's radar, because you'll miss things if you don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think another thing too is how we kind of brought up cultural differences and stuff. And this is definitely one that, like, as a white dude, you know, I definitely tread lightly with this subject, but the way we talk, like the way I would talk to a man at work if I'm having a conflict, is going to be vastly different the way I talk to a woman. But also what I've noticed more and more in my current position is that I've rarely worked with women of color, just because in the industry I was in, just wasn't that prominent. You could have a building with 100 people in it, and 2 of them might be of color. So now, as I work with predominantly women of color, and how I talk and how that is portrayed is very different than what I'm used to. And so being conscious of that, but also being respectful and being able to listen, I feel like, and maybe Courtney and Karen can weigh in on this. Like if I'm talking with Karen, which I do on a pretty regular basis, I feel like I can talk a different way, whereas I need to be more, in my opinion, if I'm talking to like Courtney or Paula, I want to be more empathetic, because there's a lot that you've gone through that I will never know. And Karen as well, but especially as somebody of color. So I would love to hear like y'all's opinion on that and how men talk to you differently.
And while you all are thinking about that, we have an interesting comment that came from LinkedIn, giving you all a chance to think. But as you can see, I heard a statistic that women need like 15 non-intimate touches per day to feel appreciated and loved, while many men see any touch as a potential road to the bedroom. Well, y'all already then.
Erica, you get 14 touches. On number 15, that means something, okay? So
is that like the third date?
Expectations to like 12 or 13, and then we might be able to meet in the middle. But 15 intimate touches? That's a lot of intimate touches, Erica. Joking, of course, but it's true. Like oxytocin is a real thing. I actually read that book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and it talks about that. How that oxytocin, that closeness, that touching hormone, is one of the most important things to regulate a female's emotions, regulate the hormonal responses of progesterone and estrogen, that you need that touch. And I thought that was very interesting. When we touch, we got another hormone, testosterone, that spikes. A testosterone hormone, ask a 16-year-old boy, can be making you think some crazy things, which is 2 opposite sides of the hormonal spectrum.
Yeah.
So can I pull those 2 things together maybe?
Yeah.
Because friends, I sometimes, if I'm with someone, I'm going to touch your arm, touch your shoulder, whatever, just to show that I care. Derek, to your point, I'm going to act differently around different people. So if I'm talking with a friend who's close to me, guy or girl, and they touch my arm because we're talking about something, family, exchanging family stories, and we're a close friend, great. If I feel that, someone touches my arm and it's someone that hasn't known my experience,
that's weird.
You pop my personal space bubble. Pop, pop, pop. So I live in this skin. I don't know, the person of color layer to that, but I do try to talk with more empathy and a more open mind of learning just the same as you do. If I am talking to a person of color, because I don't want to assume because we have some similarities that you've walked the same walk I have.
It's a good point. I feel
If
like.
you
How about
would've
you,
asked-
Courtney? Yeah, how
If
about
you
you?
have asked me this conversation about 10 years ago, I would have told you flat across the board, everybody's getting the same voice. Okay. I used to be a person who gave it straightforward. You're either going to like it or you're not. If you're a man or a woman, I believe in telling the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Blase, blase. Okay. I'm still that person to this day. However, I do treat individuals a little bit more, I won't want to say respectfully, but with more care, I will say. So when it comes to having those conversations, no, I'm not always going to react. I'm going to be like, I'm going to actually have to think about it. I am going to process this. And boy, it may take me some time to process because some of the information that I'm going to give you is going to come from heart. I don't want to stray you in the wrong direction. I want to provide some type of support for you in all that I can do. So it kind of just depends on, the situation, on what kind of empathy you're going to actually get from me. But then as far as, changing the tone when you're talking to men and women, again, it kind of depends on the person. Derek, I think I've probably got both sides of you. And it's so crazy because I got both sides of you in the beginning of meeting you.
Oh yeah.
We met one place and then I seen you again. So, and I think that's across the board also too, just with what the world has going on, that a lot of people are a little bit more mindful when they're actually speaking to people. So I'm a hitter there. I'm gonna adjust. I'm a chameleonaire. I'm gonna do what I got to do when who I'm speaking to. If you Miss Paula, you gonna get it. Okay. If you're Karen, I just met her. She don't know me yet. She got to warm up. So, and Mike, I think I've wedded you before, but we don't know each other. But I'm still gonna be straightforward to you because we come from the same background. So it's kind of just different. You got to see who's who.
I have little ones. I have a 2-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. And one of the things that I found so beautiful about like that age, like the innocence of a child. My sons don't see gender or color. They don't even understand it. They don't even see it. It doesn't even exist. And I wish that I could, and just we as a society could get back to that ignorance of a child. Whereas like Courtney, I love the fact that if you asked me 10 years ago, I would have just given it to you blunt, straight, and honest, no matter who you were. And it's like that to me is beautiful, but it's like you can't act like that because we have this, I feel like, cultural expectation where we have well-intentioned sensitivities that make us act and react in a certain way because of how someone looks or the gender that they have that isn't really giving us real, but we think that that's how we should act or react. And that's what messes up the experiment. It's like, I should be able to talk to you however I want to talk to you, regardless of what your skin color is or your gender in parts are. And it's like, oh, well, you just cut that person off. Men can't be cutting off women. Well, my bad. So now all of a sudden I'm not cutting somebody off that I would normally cut off because that person's a certain gender. And it's like, damn, I'm being prejudiced now. It's well-intentioned prejudice, but it's prejudice. It's like messing up the experiment. So it's like, do you think we could ever get back to a place where my kids are, where they don't see gender, they don't see, they don't see skin color, they just see a person? Now, I'm not saying we should take someone's toys out their hand like we're working with my son, okay? We grow up and we mature, and maybe that's what it is. But there is something to this innocence of a child where you don't see these lines that just don't really exist. We're all people, and we wouldn't exist without each of us, but we act so differently to each of us because societal expectations. And I think it's beautiful and disgusting at the same time, if that makes sense.
Well, until the adults start acting right.
Yeah, that's true.
These kids aren't going to act right. You know what I mean?
True. Baby. That's true.
We're the role models that these kids look after, right? Whether it's a musician, whether it's an actor, whether it's an actress, no matter what. And we have to take some accountability and stop acting the fool as well. And how we communicate and how we treat each other and how we talk to each other. And what I found when it comes to communication, what's very interesting for me, and I'm going to give myself as an example. If I talk, I'm a problem. If I'm silent, I'm a problem. If I'm happy, it's a problem. If I'm angry, it's a problem. If I'm thinking, it's a problem. If I'm just looking at you trying to actively listen, it's a problem, right? And so it's sort of like you're in these spaces where people have already put you in a box and have already defined how you should react and how you should act and how you should behave. And if you don't live up to that expectation, then you're the problem. But really the problem is them, because it's their own insecurities and their own, the way they think, their own lack of self-worth and self-esteem, that they're trying to put their insecurities on you because they don't want to deal with them.
It's a good point.
And that's the point of communication, right? A lot of people, for example, I will have people throw up all the time. Yeah, I'm from the East Coast, right? I'm direct, I'm aggressive, I'm all this crap, right? Okay, y'all, yes, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm very proud of that. My family's from Barbados. I'm very proud of that. But I also know emotional intelligence and know empathy. I'm a doggone life coach. I'm a group fitness coach. I have not been successful because I'm a jerk.
It's true.
Right? Yeah. That's not how that works. However, when people don't want to deal with them, that's when the problem comes on and they start to try and not put the accountability on them. They want to then put the accountability on the other person that they're talking to. And that is not fair for either side. Yeah. You're doing a disservice to yourself and you're damaging the relationship that you have with this person. And until we get to the point of people actually understanding who they are and taking accountability for who they are, Solo, we're going to continue to have these issues with these kids and with ourselves as adults, because we don't want to have to do the work to identify that, you know what, I'm actually not as perfect as I think I am.
Yeah.
Dang.
And I really think that that's the point, Paula. It's that at the end of the day, we all know conceptually that we're not as great as we think that we are. But every piece of technology supports the opposite. I'm talking to these AIs and I'm like, maybe we should make a hand grenade toilet where a hand grenade should go off in your toilet and, like, you know, blow part of your butt cheek off, you know, as part of the feature of the toilet. It's like, that's a great idea. Let's flesh that out. It's like, that ain't a great idea. That's a terrible idea. But you're telling me it's a great idea. You go on to social media and you're fed all these algorithms of people just agreeing with everything that you think. You're in this echo chamber and you think that all of society agrees with what you're saying. You go onto YouTube and you're like content. It's like everything that you agree with and everything that you're thinking. And it's like everything is just pouring into you that it's like, you know, you're right. So then you have an interaction with somebody and all of your prejudices that are reinforced by all this technology that's just trying to get you to buy crap comes in full force, and you just become a professional gaslighter. It's like, oh, well, they're the problem, and let me convince you why you're the problem. And then the other person sees it as, this person's just full of it, and they're just gaslighting me. And then, but we're all doing the same thing to everyone else because this damn technology, social media, AIs, algorithms, all of the stuff is just reinforcing all of our bad behaviors when it comes to, you don't know nearly as much as you need to know. And you need to get out there and learn from other people and be okay with being wrong. Be okay with looking at different perspectives. Be okay with you not being the top and your, you know what, doesn't stink and your crazy toilet grenade idea is stupid. And you need someone to tell you as such so you can grow and become better. I just feel like it's the technology more so than the differences between male and female or me versus you, or even the ethnic divides or even the socioeconomic divides. It's technology that's like really messing us up. That's what I think. What do y'all think about that?
I definitely think technology, especially social media, like with algorithms and things like that, can definitely skew you a certain way, right? Especially if, you know, the algorithm sees you like this type of video, it's going to show you completely this. So now you think, oh, well, everybody, has these opinions. And then you go out into the real world saying these crazy things, and people are looking at you like
what?
What's wrong with you? Yeah. So it just kind of creates a blindness, almost like a filter. And I think the filter is actually one of the things that we need to remove when we're interacting with people in general, not just with people of the opposite sex, because I think that most people see life through a lens or through a filter. And if let's just say I meet Paula for the first time and whatever, I'm bringing all of my past relationships, I'm bringing all of my past interactions with people that might look like Paula, all the people who might be from Des Moines or Iowa. It's just all of these inputs that I am, using to assess Paula, when it's just like, she's a person, she's got her own background, her own experiences, so she might be completely different from everyone else with certain traits like her. So if we all understand that we have these filters and these lenses that we look at other people, which is often referred to as biases and prejudices and things like that, it can really go a long way. And also understanding that people are viewing us through that same lens. So kind of like what Paula was saying, if she does this, it's an issue, right? It's because they're projecting, like they're just bringing all of this baggage, and you're just really just sitting there. So that's where we kind of have to be intentional about getting to understand why they are viewing me like this, even though, they've never met me. Just because I told you I was from Detroit, that doesn't mean that I'm going to do all these things or gonna, and even when I tell people I'm from Detroit, they tell me, well, are you really from Detroit?
What's up, gangster?
Exactly. Like, are you from Metro Detroit, the suburbs? I'm like, no, I'm from the city of Detroit, and they're like, well, you don't seem like it. Well, what does that mean? So now you're just projecting all these things on me. I'm like, I've lived in this city my entire life, so I just think that if we are aware of the filters that we have, it can really go a long way in just getting to understand people. So when I meet a person, I want to be completely open to, how they think, why they think that way, what's their background, all of those things are going to let me learn about them versus, oh, it's a female, oh, it's a male. There might be some initial, benchmarks, but everybody deviates from those benchmarks, right? So
So I have a question here that just hit me when you were talking, Michael, that I want to ask Derek. Because there's something that you said that I'm very interested in. And I want you to answer first, and then anybody else who wants to jump in can jump in. I appreciated the fact that you said your communication, how you communicate with people might be different based on lived experience, right? So you mentioned you would communicate to me or Courtney different. You would have more empathy. My question to you is, how does that really feel to you? Does that really feel that you're actually engaging with us with your authentic self? Or are you holding back because you don't want to offend? You don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable just because of the nature that we are Black women who have different lived experiences?
I love that question. And Paula, you and I have had so many conversations, and as we've learned each other, I've definitely opened up more to you, and you've gotten to see a little bit more of that authentic self. But what I do like about when I communicate that way is I feel like I listen more, and that is very intentional of me. Where it's not as much about not trying to offend somebody. It's more about trying to understand somebody. And it's because I'm not from this world, like this same life experiences, this same world, but I've never had a problem with any of this. But I do want to know, I want people to understand that I'm not trying to be fake, but if I'm going to understand you to the full extent of who you are, I have to be very adamant about how I listen to you. And that comes through with me taking a step back, which is not my normal thing. I'm usually like pretty much in your face and very loud. And that taking a step back is my sign of respect of I'm here to hear you. And I've not always been good at that. And that I think is something that has gotten stronger with working in different communities and with more people of color. And I think it's helped with my communication with all women and men too. Maybe not as much men, but especially women, because men, I can just be like, yo, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. But I think it's so important to be able to listen the right way. So that's definitely why I do that.
I think that's mature of you doing that introspection and realizing that you have some, I would say, gaps in your understanding of certain groups, you know what I mean? And because of that, you're more intentional with what you do, how you move, how you listen, all that kind of stuff. I wonder if we'll ever be able to get to the place where like we just do that with just human beings in general. Like I have this like theory, and it's a difficult theory, and it's a hard one because I'm an interracial person. I'm half black, I'm half white. So I have pride in both sides, and I have fear on both sides. And I noticed myself struggling in raising my children in the pride of my culture and instilling that with the, I would say, double-edged sword of, I don't want you to look at yourself as a black man or a white man or a man in general. I want you to look at yourself as Abel Solomon, an individual who has to make choices based upon how you see the world. And I don't want you to come with all this cultural baggage of like, this is who I am and this is where I'm from and this is what I'm all about. But at the same time, I don't want you to forget the wonderful people that like carved the path before you to even make it possible for you to be here. So I have a really difficult time like towing that line and balance. But I really do think ultimately to get past this men-women divide that we have, this, racial divide that we have to get to the point where, like Dr. King said, we're no longer judging each other by the color of our skin, but the content of our character. I don't see you as black. I don't see you as white. I don't see you as a woman. I don't see you as a man. I see you as a person. And just like Derek, out of his introspection and maturity, I am so ignorant to you, Karen, as a person. I have to be very intentional about understanding and knowing you, because you owe just as much. I owe you that respect because you're a child of God like I'm a child of God. And either whether you believe in God or not, I owe you the respect to know that you are an individual and I need to give you that time. So because I would want it in return. So a lot of the times I think that our pride in who we are as men or women or culture or backgrounds, it does us a disservice just as much as it does do us a service. And it's like finding that razor thin balance in between that I haven't really figured out yet. So any advice on that would be great, but I think you solve that, you might solve a lot of the world's problems. So I'm not going to hold my breath.
Right. Seeing each other as individuals is, oh, sorry, Courtney.
No, go ahead.
Courtney's got it. What's the answer, Courtney?
I did not have the answer, but what I do say, it's all about the circle that you're going to probably be in, because I do feel like people do operate in that way. I have a great circle of people of all colors that do. Not everybody's going to do it. So I think the only way to stay of sound mind is to present yourself to those people. And then as you guys come as a pack, everybody's going to have that same authenticity to their own network to be able to bridge it to further people. But going at it as a whole, I don't think that there's a solution in this world today.
I'm hoping Dr.
But there
King
is
right.
people who are living their lives every single day in that manner. And I will tell you, I have run across some great people who see absolutely no color, who see no gender, who support each other, who love on each other just the same way. But then you do go outside of that and you see people working, and it will break your heart sometimes. And it will pull you into wanting to react. And it's hard in those moments sometimes, but you just have to like go in your corner and be like, that's not you. I'm not living that way. That's how they are. How can I, even try to get that person to understand, or how do I utilize my network to get this out, to let people know, let's try to come together and be as one. But I honestly, if there is a solution, I would love to be a part of it. But at this point, I think we're working in many groups.
What's the answer, Karen? You were going to say something?
Oh, that's too much pressure now. More the comment on individual. Yes, I want to be seen as an individual. I want to learn about people as an individual. And please respect, just as I try my very best to respect, I don't want to bring my whole self anywhere. I don't, because a different version of me is going to watch my daughter at the theater, then is
Good
going
call.
to a protest, then is going to work, then is going to family Christmas. It's a different version. And I'm okay. It took me years to be okay with that. I don't owe anybody every aspect of myself. And I hope I'm never going to demand that of them either.
That's a good point. That is a good point. It's okay to wear different hats. And if anything, it's appropriate. Find
Well, you
myself
should know
like,
who your audience is, though. I mean, it's knowing your audience. I mean, it's knowing how do you interact with other individuals. I mean, I show up differently based on what the situation is, right? And I think
Yeah.
all of us do that. Depending on the situation, there's a different level of emotion, a different level of intentionality, there's just, so it's all about knowing your audience and knowing people and respecting each other, right? We've done lost that. I mean, the courtesy
True.
and the respect is just not there. The foundational things, just how are you doing? No, really, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And just
meaning
don't
it,
tell me
yes.
fine.
And meaning it,
Yeah,
yes.
knowing and ready for whatever comes back at you. You know what? Today is not a good day. I am not
Yeah.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? How can I help? How can I support? Right? Instead of making the assumption just because somebody's silent, they're disengaged.
That's true.
You know, I wanted to talk about or speak on showing up different ways, because, you know, I have heard several people say, like, I'm the same everywhere I go. You know, I treat everybody the same. And I had actually read somewhere or heard somewhere that that's actually an indication of like mental illness if you don't have the ability
I'm
to
a little crazy too, Dr. White.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it said. I don't know. That if you don't have the ability to adjust yourself to your environment, then you don't have the ability to regulate yourself, then that could be some indication of mental illness. But I just thought it was funny because we were kind of talking about showing up in different ways. But I thought of something way back, and I never got to speak on it, but I did want to point this out for the question that came up with the men and the women and the various touches. Statistically, right, you know, men one touch, you know, we're ready, and women take a lot more preparation in order to get to a space where they're, you know, ready for whatever. But it made me think about something that I've always tried to learn about someone that I'm romantically involved with is love languages, right?
Ooh,
So, you know, if a woman likes 15 touches, my indication might be more like, okay, maybe she's physical touch, you know, maybe that's something that she really enjoys, or maybe it's quality time. So I think with everyone, even like friendships, I try to look for cues to see, oh, does that person like words of affirmation? Do they like quality time or gifts or things like that? Because that can really help, just not just romantic relationships. I think any type of personal relationship, knowing that person's like love language, their communication style, those things can really go a long way. So it's not always about the gender or the sex, but just the type of personality that person has as an individual.
Because I think to all of our point earlier, like the individualness is more of a divide than the male versus female. And there's some like big things that it's like, hey, light bulb versus iron that you're talking about, right? That like divide us in sexes. But I think the individualism, I'm noticing that my wife is a psychopath in certain regards. Like for me, when I grew up, Santa left the presents unwrapped in all their glory, and everything was fantastic on Christmas morning. And we're freaking out now. And she's like, whoa. Santa has his presents wrapped in special paper. So when the kids come down, and I'm like, well, I just talked to Santa. And I heard he has a whole elf workshop and he puts the stuff together first and the bike is sitting out. It ain't just sitting there. And it was just, I realized that these are just growth differences. Like I was raised differently. Like for me, we just had this argument just today. My weekday starts on a Monday. Monday's the first day of the week. Sunday's the last day of the week. She's like, no, Sunday's the first day of the week and Saturday's the last day of the week. I'm like, hold on, what do you mean? What do we have off? The weekends? Okay, the weekends. What's the last day of the weekend? Well, Sunday, but that's technically, and I realized that these divides are like 50-50 among just people, not just male and female, but people. Some Santas are dropping presents off unwrapped. Some weekdays start on Monday. Some Santas are wrapping it with special paper, and some weekdays start on Sunday. So it's like taking the time to get to know the individual, right, Karen? Is really important in like communicating those love languages. I am an acts of service. You do something for me and I feel loved. My wife is a quality time. I spend time with her and she feels loved. You don't got to say anything to me and you can leave me alone. And you just hit that, you just clean the crib up. I love you so much. But if I just clean the crib up and I ain't spend no time with her, she's like, what's wrong? What's going on? And that's just an individual thing. So I think you guys got a point on that.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're huh?
Wrapped or unwrapped? That's all I want to know on Christmas morning.
Wrapped, dude.
Right?
Wrapped.
I think you're the psychopath now. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the solo back.
Someone help me out. Courtney, where
I
you
have
at?
to ask you too. Where do you put your bookends? Ask your wife. Where do the bookends go on the bookshelf?
Like, what do you mean bookends?
Do you put both bookends at one end of all the books?
The
Or do you
ends
put
that
them
hold
on,
the
like,
books
the
up.
You mean that, like,
bookends,
little
yeah.
metal thing?
Or do you
Yeah.
use them at all?
That's too
Right,
bougie
but
for
if you
me.
were
I'm just
to,
popping
they
up
would
the
go
last book a
on
little
the
bit.
start and the end of the whole, like a weekend.
Oh,
That's what she said.
I
That
see.
was her logic. It's the weekends. Like you just put them in like that. But I was like, you ain't
Yes.
gonna talk me into Sunday not being the Sabbath, okay? Like I'm like, that's the end of the week. All right. God rested on that day, if you ask me. But she's like, well, actually, technically, the Sabbath was on Saturday, and I was like, oh man, she's got all the knowledge. So I'll tell you this one last thing. I know we're about to wrap up, but this will explain my thought process on men and women exactly. And I need you to hear me out because it's going to be a rough ride. If you just stop me mid-ride, you ain't going to like it, especially you ladies. Okay. So my grandmother and this wonderful woman, my grandmother, were married for 65 years. It's in the back of us right there. Y'all got our family photo. You can't see it, but I'm looking good in that picture. Okay. That said, I asked my grandpa, like, Grandpa, what does it take to find a granny on their 60th wedding anniversary? And my grandpa's a real stoic gentleman, or he was. God rest his soul. And he got like real excited and like, oh, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be good because he's really usually cool, calm, and collected, right? And he leaned in and he said, grandson, some people don't know this, but me and your grandmother have actually been together for 65 years. It's the 60th anniversary. So really they were 70 because they dated for 5 years before. And he's like, on the first date, we made a decision. 65 years later, we've stuck to that decision. And it's been simple. I was like, well, what was the decision? He goes, it's easy. He said, as the man in the relationship, no matter how much we disagree or how big the problems are, we are going to trust my judgment. And as the woman in the relationship, no matter how many of them there are or how much we disagree, we're going to trust her judgment. And he leans in and he smiles. He says, grandson, in the last 65 years, I have yet to make a big decision. So you listen to your wife, you just let her lead, and I can tell you that that's worked out for him. Ask Grammy. And I started doing it with my own son. Daddy, can I have some food? Ask your mommy. Mommy's the boss. Ask your mommy. Mommy's the boss. They say
Happy
that
wife, happy life.
yeah, happy wife, happy life. They say king of the castle, and queen of the land. And with the king and the queen, you have a kingdom. So I feel like if the father is the head, if the male is the head, the wife is the neck, and you let her direct wherever you're looking, and you're going to have a good time. They say that you should love your wife like Jesus loved the church, and Jesus died for the church. So you should die for your significant other. And that's how I feel. Your job isn't to bark orders, but to lay down your life for them. And I feel like if we're all self-sacrificial, especially for like our love relationships, we're going to be okay. But in just relationships in general, I feel like if we just treat each other like an individual, you ain't a white woman, Karen. The name throws me off a little bit being a white woman named Karen, but you're an individual and you got your wants, needs, and desires, and you got your own quirks and you got your own beliefs. And if I treat you like that and Courtney like that, Dr. White like that, Derek like that, Paula like that, I think we'll be okay. And maybe one day we'll get to the point where Dr. King would look up and say, damn, y'all really are judging each other by the content of your character, not the parts that they were born with or not, or the color of your skin. Like, good job, family, good job. But we got a long way to go to get there. Long way to go.
So with that, I want to yield the floor to each of our guests to give one piece of advice. What is one piece of advice that you would like to leave the audience with when it comes to communication between the sexes?
I would just say go in with the intent to observe, to learn, to be able to look for different cues and then go from there. Again, don't bring in all of your baggage to the situation. Just start with a clean slate and look at that person as an individual and go from there.
I'm going to say keep an open mind. We are all set in our ways, especially once you get to a certain age. And we sometimes fail to listen to people and get their perspective on things because it could hinder our thoughts or our processes, but also it could be of great joy and help by just keeping an open mind.
Love it.
I would say understand and try to appreciate the variety of perspectives. If we want to grow, that's one of the things I strive for is always learning. It's going to be hard. Give yourself some slack when you don't quite see the message from the other person right away. But understand there's power and there's learning and growth in that. If it's a different message than you would have given, do your best to try to interpret it and grow from it.
Yeah, I would say, man, it is totally okay to be a masculine man, but also be soft with your partner and learn to be masculine and soft at the same time.
Man. Except
I love that.
For men and women.
Yes, that part. Well, y'all, we've come up on that time.
Well, did you give yours?
Well, no, I'm about to give my final thought.
Okay,
so I'm about to give you a whole lot. Woo, I love how they just came. And I said our guests now, our guests. You all are the guests. Chris and I always do a wrap up. But here's what I'm going to say. Tonight reminded us of something real. Most of what breaks us isn't the conversation. It's the things we've never learned how to say. It's the things we assume. And it's the things we were even taught to hide. But here's the truth. Men and women are not as far apart as we actually think. We're often speaking from different wounds, different histories, and different expectations, not different hearts. So as we leave this space, I want you to take one thing with you. Communication is a skill, not a gift. And anything that's a skill can be strengthened, can be practiced, and can be transformed. So let this be your invitation, as Derek said, to listen deeper, speak clearer, assume less, and give grace when you can and where you can. So remember to stay grounded, stay growing, and keep showing up for the conversations that matter. It's been great having you all tonight. Of course, I got to add our social deets on the screen. So if you want to follow Keeping You Wise by Keeping It Real, here's how you can do that. But also to our guests, would anybody like to share? So we got entrepreneurs up in this piece. So would anybody like to share how people can follow you and buy their stuff, y'all? Just buy their stuff. Just trust me. Just go buy it. Even if you don't need it, just go buy it. I mean, just buy it. Would anybody like to share? Who I think almost all y'all are business owners. So share where people can connect up with you.
Well, I'll go first, of course. Lady Lex Scented Candles, www.ladylex, and lady is LADIE, Lex, LEX, candles with the S.net. We currently have a buy 3, get 1 free online right now, getting ready to ramp up. Oh, yes. Okay. Get your good stuff.
Okay.
We are all about aromatherapy, wellness, and self-care. It's all about using the power of your senses to provide that relaxation and comfort. We make our products with natural essential oils to make sure that you get that relaxation and comfort when you actually burn our products or utilize any of our products. Another thing, of course, when we're talking about communications, October 10th of 2026, we are bringing back the annual Slay the Runway Children's Fashion Show that is for children 5 to 17. It's all about providing them with leadership, mentorship, and giving them the tools that they need to be life skills and holding their head up high and walking in rooms and feeling confident. So all of that information will be coming out sometime next month. So stay tuned for that. You can follow me on socials on Facebook or Instagram, Courtney Perry, Lady Lex, or Privacy LLC.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can find me and Courtney. I need some more candles. Mine's like my last two are like down to here. I will find you. I know how to find you. I got so many of them. But you can find me at www.thederekfrank.com. You can find me on all the socials at @TheDerekFrank. Got a couple YouTube channels where I do tech reviews and music reviews. I also do consulting for marketing and branding. So, I'm very accessible. I'm very easy to find.
All right. I guess I will go. If there's any business analysts on the call or watching, feel free to connect with me, the Business Analysis Doctor. My website is the BA Doc, so that's THEBADOC. On all of my handles, it's the Business Analysis Doctor. So LinkedIn, you could do the LinkedIn page at the Business Analysis Doctor, or you can connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Dr. Michael White. Also, I do have a YouTube channel, the Business Analysis Doctor, as well. I focus on IIBA certification as well as practical business analysis coaching and training. So looking forward to meeting you all.
I am in my phase of supporting my fellow entrepreneurs. We do not own the business anymore, so please share. I'll take a note to each of those. But as I'm program director at Cultural, and that's the phase I'm in now. I just love helping others share their voices.
Damn, y'all are doing way too big. You can find me at the crib. I have a 32-piece Lego snake that I'm putting together with a 2- and a 5-year-old this weekend. We might even hit the park, hit the slides, making a difference in the community. I need to pick my entrepreneurial game up. I'm looking at all y'all, Paula. You got like 1,000 businesses. I got a 32-piece Lego snake that I'm putting together. I need to do better, y'all. I need to do better. But y'all can find me on here, and I'll be here every month with Paula. And it's the best part of my month, Paula. So thank you for this.
You're welcome. Well, let's take us out, Chris. It's all about you, Solo. Take us out.
I don't know what else could be said besides what has been said. I feel like we said a lot of stuff. I think that my biggest piece of advice, and the thing that I hope that people get from this, is there's so many things that divide us. Socioeconomic divides, sexual, gender divides, racial divides, country divides. There's so many things that divide us, but there's so many things that bring us together. We're all out here just trying to function, trying to make a difference, trying to be happy, trying to be whole, trying to be somebody. And I feel like if we could just look at each other like that, maybe some of these things that divide us won't seem so divisive. And I think that if we take the humility of understanding that there's more that we have to learn from each other than there is more that we need to impart, and can just get off our high horses and soapboxes like I find myself on so often, and just shut up and listen and be okay with being wrong and be okay with people telling you about yourself and giving you that real love, which is true feedback, the world would be a better place. So social media gremlins, attack me. But the rest of y'all who resonate with me, don't say anything in the chat like none of y'all ever do, but just go out there and be somebody. And just remember that the trolls in the chat are so much fewer and far between than the normal awesome lights of us that never write a comment, but go out there and try to do something in the world. So just know we're out there. We're just the silent majority out here trying to function.
All right. With those parting words and the trolls, thank you all. I'm going to have you all back because we still need to talk about, we talked a whole lot about the conflict and the problems. We didn't talk none about how do we make it right. So we're going to have to talk about healing next. And how do we get this back together? So, yeah, I mean, come on. So we're going to have a part 2. I don't know when, but we will. So thank you all for being out there. And with that, we will see you next month.